This is Spreaker Web Radio.
It's showtime, and you're listening to Florida Real Estate Radio, where you'll hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate. Right now, live in studio, here's your host, Brian Heckman.
All right, well, it is awesome to have you with us today. Coming to you today from sunny Tampa. We are so happy that you tuned in. And you know what? You're going to learn a couple of really interesting things today about Florida real estate. That there's a good chance you may not know this stuff, but you know what? After listening for the next several minutes, you definitely will. So today we brought in a awesome real estate partner of mine and becoming a very good friend, Virginia Werneken, who is a veteran real estate agent with Future Home Realty. And Virginia is going to share with you some information for first-time homebuyers, and then also just some great information on short sales versus foreclosures, and maybe a couple of little tips in there that I know Virginia's got for you. So Virginia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to be here today.
Well, we're so glad that we could make this all work. So why don't we start by just briefly sharing when and how you got into real estate, and you know why you're still in real estate today, because we've been through an interesting couple of years.
Yes, we have. I just love real estate. It's my passion. I became a licensed agent in about 7 years ago. Before that, I was dabbling in real estate for myself, investment properties, etc. I knew several people who were agents. I needed a change in careers. They said, Virginia, you like it, you're good at it, why don't you just go get your license? And I did. And I'm so glad I did. It's really fun. I do it full time, and I just love it.
Very cool. So always great information and background to get to know why people got into it and then why they're still in it, because we've been through the ringer the last few years. It's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun. So let's dive right in here to the purpose we're here today, Virginia. What would you say are, let's say, 2 or 3 things that first-time buyers should know?
A first-time home buyer needs to first chat with a mortgage lender to figure out what they can afford. Very often they come to me and they haven't talked to a lender yet, and they don't even know what price range they're in. So I always try to have them partner with a loan officer. And then once we know what price range they're in, we narrow in on the criteria that they're looking for. How many bedrooms, bathrooms, all that great stuff. Do they need a pool? Do they need a garage? What area are they looking in? Are schools important to them? There are lots of little factors that come into play. I often recommend they do drive-bys to check out neighborhoods or communities if they're not familiar with them already. I think a first-time homebuyer also needs to find an agent that they can trust and develop a partnering relationship with. It's a huge transaction, probably the biggest financial transaction of their life up to this point. And there's legal contracts involved, there's negotiations involved. Licensed agents have seen a whole lot more homes, can give you a different perspective and a different outlook on a home. I automatically start thinking of resale value, even though I'm working with a first-time home buyer. That's not something a first-time home buyer is looking at.
Yeah, that's great vision that you're able to offer them.
I've got partners like mortgage, home handymen, appraisers, surveyors, things like that. A home inspector, huge. A first-time home buyer may not have those people on their, in their repertoire of
people that they know, and
yeah, exactly,
right, the vendors.
So there's a huge team involved in this transaction, and you need to find a first-time, not an agent who necessarily specializes only in first-time home buyers, but who has been around the block with them before and can help navigate the transaction.
So what we always see is, and it's interesting that you say the whole, partnership, a buyer that can find an agent to partner with, is what we see so many times is things don't go perfect. And there's that big C word, there's that compromise word, where somebody that comes in, especially buying their first home, or I even think just as difficult as people that bought a house 7 or 8 years ago, and they expect that it's going to be that same simple process. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they've heard all the stuff on CNN, they've read about it in the paper, but these mortgage things won't impact me. And then all of a sudden we get a curveball on a short sale or a bank-owned deal, and you and I have nothing to do with it. It's just, it happens. It's a value issue. It's a comp issue. It's a...
Yes, you're absolutely right.
There's an inspection issue that comes in that's a big deal that's possibly a showstopper, and they need to understand and they need to trust that you're not trying to do something for a commission, you're doing something in their best interest. So it's really interesting you say that.
Absolutely. I think the two that you highlighted, the appraisals and the home inspections, both can be huge. And you need to be able to negotiate through them and explain to a first-time home buyer, this is what may happen. This is what we've had happen before. If we have some delays, we'll work through them. First-time home buyers can become very frustrated very easily. And they just need to have open and honest communication with their agent. Absolutely.
Well, great information. So anything else that you see right out of the gate that first-time buyers need to either be aware of or be cognizant of?
The last highlight I would mention is that they should not skip a home inspection. What is not visible to the eye may be a huge issue. It could be a truss in a roof. It could be termites that obviously you cannot see. I have buyers who will waive home inspections. I disagree with that mentality. A home inspection is a very, very small expense, and I don't call it an expense. I call it an investment. It's an investment in your huge investment. You want to know what is going on with that property. There are licensed professionals who will spend 3 to 4 hours basically tearing that property apart to let you know that what you're getting. And then it's your decision to move forward or not.
And so a ballpark, what's the cost on that? What do you see that range?
Well, depending upon the price, the square footage of the house and whether it has a pool, and there's other factors that come into play, the geographic location of it. But anywhere between $250 and $400 would be about average.
So say worst case scenario, it's $400. That's about what they pay for an appraisal inspection. And an appraisal
Correct.
Inspection literally is the bank's eyes and ears, and it determines a value. But it has nothing to do with, hey, the door handle is jiggling. Hey, the AC unit has X amount of years of life on it. So it's one of the biggest things to go get done and make sure you don't buy a $200,000, $125,000 house and all of a sudden there's major issues that you didn't even know about. So
Absolutely.
Totally agree with you. Great point. So very interesting perspective when people are coming out of the gate. People think that buying a home, we joke with people that it's not like you're buying an iPhone at the iPhone store. It's a lot more involved. There's a lot more going on here. So I really appreciate you being so authentic and sharing what's really going on. So what about this? So all this talk about short sales, about bank-owned properties, foreclosures. So talk really briefly about what these are. And you know what you see is there a benefit to purchasing a home listed as a short sale? I've heard people say that they want to stay totally clear of short sales. So can you get into the dynamic of that? And then what are the potential pitfalls? Because we know they're out there. What are some of the realistic pitfalls that you can see when a buyer or a seller goes down that path of short sale?
Okay, well, it's totally different for a seller versus a buyer. For a buyer, there's REO, which is a bank-owned property. There are short sales, which is a seller who is upside down on his mortgage and is trying to sell before he is foreclosed on. So he is selling short, hence the name. I always tell buyers, from a buyer perspective, a short sale is a long sale. And what I mean by that
awesome.
Is the time frame involved, because these can easily take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to close. So patience pays. That's another thing I always advise my buyers on short sales. And then, of course, there's traditional real estate. And more homes being listed these days are coming on the market as, traditional real estate. And it's wonderful. It's a nice change. REOs which are bank-owned properties, they get a lot of attention. They tend to draw multiple bids. And so just take a price point out of the air, $150,000 REO, you might receive 10 or 15 bids on it. And it will very often these days sell for more than list price, which a lot of buyers have a hard time wrapping their minds around. I see it happen all the time. We go into what's called a multiple bid situation. If, in fact, you're the winning bid, then the bank gives you back their contract and you go to the table if there's no title issues. Just another issue that an agent would help you with. A short sale can be very frustrating to a buyer because of the time frame involved. Typically, the first 4 to 6 weeks, you're simply waiting to get to the queue of the negotiator at the seller's lender. After you get the verbal approval, You can wait another week or two for a written approval. This whole process could take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, as I mentioned. On average, I think it's trending down, which is wonderful. I think banks are starting to wake up and see that a short sale is a good thing for all parties involved. And I've been having success with getting them approved a little bit quicker these days. But it does take patience, and it can be very frustrating.
So what would you say to somebody that that looks at a house and they love the house, but it's a short sale? So like, what's the thought pattern behind? You can't avoid it sometimes, right? It's just a matter of that patience pays is a good philosophy there.
One thing I always try to understand with my clients is, what is your time frame? Are you in a rental? Is your lease expiring? Are you in a home that you need to sell first?
That's great.
Are you living with your mom and dad while you wait for the perfect property to close at the right price? So you have to figure out what is in the best interest of the client. Some can wait on a short sale, and some simply can't.
So that can definitely determine time frame in some of the houses that you look at, the houses that...
Absolutely. And you can specifically set up the MLS search to bring in the short sales or exclude them. And it's important to understand the motivation behind your buyer.
Perfect. Well, I know that you shared with me those free reports that you had to give out. So listeners that are checking into this today, you can go to this website. It's www.tinyurl.com/thanksvirginia. Again, that's tiny, tinyurl.com/thanksvirginia. Or you can email Virginia directly at virginia@futurehomerealty.com. Again, that's futurehomerealty.com. And Virginia is spelled Virginia. And there's some simple, quick little reports. You don't need to, put your phone number in or anything like that. Just grab those reports, and those are covering which I think there was 3 of them, right?
It's basically a short sale versus a foreclosure, and they're really geared more towards a seller, to be honest with you. And it's, why should I short sale versus let my property go into foreclosure?
Gotcha.
There's also a website that I have that I can offer that is just full of information along the same lines. It's PascoCountyShortSales.com. And anybody can go there. It doesn't have to be a Pasco County homeowner. It's simply information that is there to educate the public. A short sale, in my opinion, is the better option than to let your home go into foreclosure. You can recover faster from it, and it just takes a little bit of effort, but it's definitely the better option.
And it's interesting, that recovery time, you mentioned that from the lending perspective, is 2 to 3 years. Soon as 2 to 3 years, just all depending on, the financing, how everything shows up, when it actually short sold and closed out. But 2 to 3 years, which you can basically get in a house, rent it for, a year and a half or so, and be back in the game to looking to buy your next place. So
absolutely. It's such a shorter time frame to ramp up and get into a new home for your family.
Dynamite. Well, we are out of time already, Virginia. This time goes by so fast when I hang out with you. So greatly appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. So if we can swing it with your schedule, would love to have you come back in and do this again sometime.
That would be great.
Because I know there's some more stuff that you can go in and provide. And just always, you're always providing value and educating, which we greatly appreciate. So so thank you out there for listening to Florida Real Estate Radio, where you hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate right now. I'm your host, Brian Heckman, here with Virginia Werneken. And remember that we're all in this together, so let's grow together.